Hey, Michael, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks.
Excited
Great
to
to be
have you
here.
on. Tell us who you are, what you do.
My name is Michael Boychuk, and I'm a founder and a creative director at DNA and Stone here in Seattle, Washington.
Awesome. And how did you get started? How did you become an agency owner?
I started my career at small, strategic, very creative driven shops. Wong Duty here in Seattle was my first job. And then I ended up at Leo Burnett in Chicago, working at the biggest agency in the world. And then I had been there for a few years. I was running the Sprint account, and I got recruited to work at Amazon as a global executive creative director. So I switched sides of the table. I became a client, and honestly, I never thought that I would go back to external agencies. This is at a time when everyone was migrating to go work for internal agencies at big companies. But while I was at Amazon, I realized that there was a hole kind of in the world of creative agencies out there. Um, it's not like the world needs more agencies. There are arguably too
Yes, they
many
do. They need more
already.
agencies. I need my market to get
No,
bigger.
yeah. No one seems to be craving more agencies, but I just saw that I was working with agencies that I had always wanted to work with, really famous, great agencies, very strategic, creative agencies. But they had a lot of trouble working with us internally. They just didn't seem to know how to work with creatives that were on the other side of the table, that were clients. And I had a very good friend, Matt McCain, who's been my longtime creative partner, and we both just saw this opportunity to start an agency. And I felt that I could do more work for Amazon as an external agency than I could as an internal client. So we started a company called Little Hands of Stone, and built to be very nimble, um, creatively led, but also operations at the core of what we're doing, so we could be very efficient, answer big problems, bring in bespoke teams, working a lot with Amazon. And then a year ago, we merged with DNA, which is another agency here in town that's account led. And it's kind of the peanut butter and chocolate of the agency world to have two creatives and two account guys, and now we're navigating that merger. So that's the story of how I got to
I
be
like
sitting
it.
at this table here today.
So, what made you guys think? Like, what was the decision, and how long did it take to merge the two companies
Mm,
together? I know it was last year that you guys merged, but
yeah.
how did the talks start? How long did it
Mhm.
take to put everything down in concrete?
Yeah. It started over old fashions at a bar about a mile from where I'm sitting. And we met with um, uh, our new partners and who are the owners of DNA, and we had been beating them in pitches. We had beaten them in two pitches, and Alan and Chris, my new partners, said they were either going to kill us or merge with us. That was the goal of the meeting. And we were excited though when they approached us, because DNA, we were a 6-year-old agency. DNA is a 26-year-old agency. And if you look at our revenue, it was just like this crazy up and down ride. And DNA had a much more consistent 26-year history, retainer clients. So really kind of yin and yang for both of us. We both kind of were really good at something that the other agency was really bad at, and we were in the model that I described. Matt and I were going to have a really hard time growing our agency.
Why was that?
That's the thing. Well, we were scaling into projects and then quickly reducing, and that leads to great margins for an agency. But it's difficult to sustain, and it means, if you're going to grow and you're going to build, say, an account department, you have to make big investments, and those are scary investments when you're small, and you're trying to break out. So in a way, the merger for us was kind of like a time machine, that jumped us forward, and solved a big problem that DNA had. But To answer your question, it was actually a 9-month process to go from that old fashioned to an inked deal. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be.
No.
There's a lot of complexities. You're really drawing up a marriage certificate. It's a lifetime deal, when you enter into an agreement to merge. And But we made our way through it, and then we've spent a year just we're getting our model dialed in now, because those capabilities that are very different, that make a lot of strategic sense on paper, why a merger makes sense. On the other side of that, operationalizing how you actually make money and grow from that is tricky, because
Yeah.
Matt, my partner, describes it as building the plane while you're doing barrel rolls, because it is, the business doesn't stop so that you can go figure out, go have a retreat and figure out what you want to do. So that's been hard, harder definitely than I thought it would be.
So you guys were really good at selling, it sounds like, the project, and
Hmm.
then you would kind of get bored with that project, or not have something to kind of upsell them, or to kind of create that longer
Hmm.
term retainer. So was sales like a roller coaster? I'm just trying to.
It's just up and down. It's like if you've seen those gifs of people on roller coasters that are like passing out,
Yeah.
as they're like, woohoo, ah, you know,
Yeah.
what it felt like to Matt
Okay.
and I. Like, there were great months, and then just months that were scary as hell.
So
You know,
knowing now that you guys merged and you guys been together for a year, there's a lot of stuff I want to kind of dive deep into. But now that you guys are been together for a year and you've learned a lot, do you what have you learned with the account management that would have helped you out a year ago if you guys did not merge?
mm. Well, I mean, it is great to have account partners, because it's great to have those two perspectives.
And are you
When it was
talking more
just
about
Matt,
strategy for the longer term, or because you guys were doing the strategy and the creative in the beginning for the projects? Was it just more of like,
exactly.
was there something that I'm just trying to break down, like, what was the gap? Right.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I mean, it's just look, account people and creative people, they just kind of think differently. They've been trained differently. And the fact is, as an agency, as you're scaling and growing, you have to think on both sides of that equation. It's
Mm,
not just about how do you do great creative and really break through. It's also, how do you build long-term relationships with clients, how do you invest in growth and make those big bets, but at the same time, how do you penny pinch and make sure you're not overspending on
I get it.
on freelance month to month. So
We
having those arguments, I think, is really what's important for us. And I love having some conflict within our founder group, because it means we're digging into the meaty, relevant things. I think at the beginning, Alan and Chris, yeah, the partners on the DNA side of things, were really thirsty for great creative, and they kind of let Matt and I kind of do our thing. And what we're working on now with our model and getting more dialed in is honestly putting some restraints on that, not on where we're going creatively, but how we're going to get there, and just being better about operationally, making sure we have the right resources at the right time.
I think a lot of people listening, including myself, agree, can relate. I was
Yeah,
always the creative,
yeah,
and like I would get bored. I'd be like, God
yeah,
damn it, man! Like, we just did this
yeah,
amazing campaign, this amazing stuff. Like, I want to move on to
yeah,
something new.
yeah,
Like, I don't want to
yeah,
just focus on one client to grow. Like, I would just
yeah,
be
yeah.
completely fucking bored. I'm like, oh,
Exactly.
right.
We love it. We love it. That's the thing that we love, as creatives, that we just bounce from thing to thing to thing. But as you're building and growing a company, you have to get outside of that,
Yeah,
because you can be doing the greatest creative in the world, but if you're not figuring out how to make a solid margin for your company, I mean,
yeah,
that's not going to last very long. And there, look, we are in the midst of a crazy financial squeeze as an industry, where clients are asking for more and they want to pay for less. And on the other side of things, inflation is making everything more expensive for us. So we better figure out how to be more efficient. Yeah, but also you can't take your eyes off of the creativity, and being bold with our clients and pushing them to new places.
Well, I think that's really where the gift that AI is giving us, right?
Hmm.
And a
Yeah.
lot of agencies are kind of freaking out over AI because AI can
Hmm.
do so much.
Yeah.
But what,
Yeah.
you know, what I always tell them is, I think AI right as of right now, it's like, how can I supercharge AI for me, like, and have
Hmm.
it assist us more. Like, for example, this morning I was working on a workshop about the AI leveraged agency, right? And that's where
Hmm.
everyone needs to be
Hmm.
going. And it
Hmm.
starts at a couple different levels. The first level is removing the owner dependencies on a lot of the bottlenecks. So how
Hmm.
can you, Michael, like with all your
Hmm.
creativeness and all the
Hmm.
stories you know, how can you start transferring that knowledge to your team? Can you build
Hmm.
custom GBTs? That's kind of the thing
Hmm.
now, or
Hmm.
AI
Hmm.
agents around that. But like
Hmm.
at the end of the day, how do you make it even better that will work for a long time? And so, like, one of the things I tell people to do now is to do like this AI operating brief that just
Hmm.
tells them everything about your role, your ICP, who is not your ICP, your
Hmm. Yeah.
branding, what you stand for, what you believe, your client's biggest challenge, all this kind of stuff. And then you give that to the learning models. Now they're starting. Now it's not just a prompt or a chat. Now it's
Hmm.
making yourself go that much longer. Like, and then how can your team do that to leverage AI and all the tools? Because what separates us is not the tools, it's the data and all the knowledge
Hmm.
that we have. How do we put all that together, all that framework
Yeah.
together? And then that's what makes the best agencies take off and the worst agencies
Hmm.
go out of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have this
Absolutely.
amazing technology. And
Yeah.
I was talking to my team this morning, and they're like, is AI gonna, replace a lot of agencies? I'm like, yeah, some. But
Hmm.
when's the last time you've been on a support ticket or a support call and you get that fucking robot? I start fucking cussing at that dumbass
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Exactly.
I want to talk to a fucking person. And
Yeah.
that's how everybody feels. Like, it's making
Yeah.
us be human. Like, we're gonna pay like
Yeah.
a difference for working with humans versus over a fucking
Hmm.
machine. Don't you agree?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I mean, yeah. It's. I mean, we are standing in the shadow of a tidal wave that is coming our way, and I think everyone is trying to figure out how to make it work for them, and there's so many options for how we bring this in and help us figure out how to be better agencies. And we all know we see it changing. We see layoffs happening, and we see these changes coming our way. We know clients want this. And I'm going to actually straddle both sides of this line, because on one hand, um, we have to figure out how to integrate AI into our workflows, and we need to develop our own proprietary AI technologies. I mean, we have to. If you're not doing that as an agency owner, you should go buy a pallet of plywood at Home Depot and nail it up over your windows, because you're going to close. You need to be on top of this
That
for
should be
sure,
the
no question
thumbnail.
about
That should be the thumbnail of this episode.
it.
Like,
Just
agency closed.
agency closed. Forget it. But on the other hand, I also think as an industry we are choking on data, and at the same time we're really starving for really emotional work.
Mhm.
And so what I don't want to see is AI provide so much data that it gives us the illusion that we're getting to really emotionally driven work. Because at the end of the day, our industry is about balancing kind of what's new and innovative and where things are going, but also keeping an eye towards what has always worked. I mean, you could pick up
Yep.
Ogilvy on advertising today, and flip from page to page and see things that are relevant to the,
Yeah.
so it's about really the fundamentals and the future at the same
Well,
time. And,
it
our approach is really about emotion and kind of drawing a line for AI where we want it to go and where we don't want it to go.
yeah. I think it's where we don't want it to go is AI to replace
Yeah.
everything, right?
Yeah.
But like the AI leveraged agency where
Yeah.
AI is assisting us, making us more efficient, making more profitable, right? Like I was looking at an agency the other day. They do 200,000 a month in top line,
Hmm.
and I think they were doing like 80,000 in net profit. And I was like, well, what do you need to
Hmm.
do? Like, and they were like, I want to increase that. What do you need to do?
Hmm.
And they were like, oh, I need to
Hmm.
get more clients. I'm like, all right, well, cool.
Yeah.
Let's run that model, right? All right, we're going to get more revenue, which means we need more people, we need more managers, more structure, more systems, all that kind of stuff. It made the revenue go up, but the profit only went up like 20,000 a month. But then I was like, all right, if we can
Yeah.
kind of do this AI leveraged agency, your
Hmm.
people are going to be more streamlined. The owners can be less bottlenecked and they have more freedom. They can do more stuff, and we can increase the profit by like 100,000 without
Hmm.
adding any more people. And they're like, huh, right? Like, and like they were like, that's kind of interesting, right? Versus just looking at
Smart.
using AI for chat or going to
Right.
Nano Banana or whatever it's fucking called, or selling
Yeah.
Geo, or like whatever it is. Like I
Yeah.
understand everyone's kind of freaking out a little bit because there's a lot of options. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like you were saying with the Ogilvy book, if you go back to
Hmm.
the basics,
Hmm.
what is the things which I think
Hmm.
your old boss, which I want to get in that
Hmm.
story too in a second,
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
you making them do something. But like
Hmm.
I think interviewer was asking him, he's like, what's going
Hmm.
to change in the future? He's like, you're asking the wrong question. What is not going to
Hmm.
change? Humans will
Hmm.
always want that emotional connection to other humans.
Hmm.
A machine can't
Exactly.
replace us.
Exactly.
Like
No.
think about it, for over a century now, humans have been trying to operate like machines.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But and now the machines can operate like the machines, sometimes better than the humans. And I was thinking about this the other day too. Like think about all the stuff on Amazon. Like let's say you're buying like this pottery on Amazon and it's mass
Hmm.
produced,
Hmm.
millions of items. Well, we're going to
Hmm.
devalue that. But what about if someone in Albuquerque, New Mexico created this
Hmm.
custom vase, had imperfections? You'd pay more. You'd actually, because it was creative, it was artists, right? Like that's how I look at
Hmm.
AI and
Yeah.
what's happening right now.
Yeah. I love it. That's great. Fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. We're constantly measuring it against, could a human have done that? Could a human have done that? And where I don't want to be defensive about what it can do. It is, and it is doing amazing things. There's no question about it. Mind-blowing things that are getting better and better every single
Yeah.
day. For right now, I mean, when it steps into creativity, it's got a stink to it that is there. And even internally, when you see documents and you can tell someone's been using Chat GPT to generate something,
Mhm.
it's kind of that gobbledygook that sort of kind
Yeah.
of makes sense but doesn't. So I for right now, I want to. Maybe it makes me sound like an old guy, but I just really want to protect the creativity and use AI to really enable a better product. And
Mhm.
we're using AI for visualization before we get into production to really see what a spot
Great
is
for
going to look like before
brainstorming.
we even
Yeah.
shoot it. It's great. I mean, it's made us better. Like, oh shit, we should go all in on close-ups with this because that's really powerful and you can see it and do it. And why not? Why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great topic for sure.
I want to kind of change focus a little bit. I think you kind of alluded a little bit with your existing partner and the two new partners, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there are four of you. Is that correct?
There are four of us.
All right,
Yep,
perfect.
exactly.
And you were saying you like conflict.
Hmm.
How is good the right conflict? So tell
Hmm.
us a little bit more about what you're talking about, and how do you guys create that, or is that just built into your guys' beliefs?
Well, I think partnerships are like marriages. Basically, the same rules apply. The same things that make for a healthy marriage make for a healthy partnership. And one thing that I noticed early on in my partnership with Matt at Little Hands of Stone, our pre-merged agency, is that there's a tendency sometimes to just avoid conflict. You don't want to come in the morning and think about conflict, but there's always those sort of things in the back of your head that just sort of like, "God, I don't know if I would have done this that way, or I wouldn't make that decision, or I wouldn't hire that person, or those kinds of things." And you can start to get into a pattern where you avoid conflict just because it's not a pleasant thing necessarily. But actually, I really learned at Amazon to jump right into conflict, because I think if there's not conflict in a partner relationship, then you are not tackling the big issues. So, and when I say conflict, I don't mean violent disagreement. I mean respectful disagreement.
Punch them in the face.
Um, yeah, shouldn't end up there. That's bad. That's bad fighting. But there's good fighting where you're really digging in, you're expressing what you feel, you're bringing that point of view. But also, you have to trust your partners. You have to trust that at the end of the day, you don't have to win. It's another rule in marriage that I learned a long time ago, 27 years of marriage,
I've
that
never
factors
won.
into.
What are you talking
You
about?
don't have to win. You don't have to win. I mean, winning does not matter. It's just leave that alone. So there are a lot of times where my partners have a different opinion. We hear each other out, and then I just think, you know what? I feel this way. They feel that way. They must be right, and you just let it go, because the other part of that that's really important is having very clear swim lanes. And our rule with the partners is that if there's a decision that falls more squarely into someone else's swim lane, like Chris Witherspoon, who's one of my partners who manages the account department. We've agreed he is the lead on the account. If it is an account related question, he's going to take it, and that's fine. We will all defer to him. That doesn't mean we hold back in disagreeing with him. In fact, we have an obligation to bring that to the table. But at the end of the day, that's his decision. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But I just think you have to be tackling these conflicting issues together. It's tough. And having four partners can be complicated, but I love having the different perspectives that you bring to the table. And I'll just add one more thing, Jason, which is when we were going through the merger, we were talking about how we wanted to strategize the strategy for the merger. How were we going to talk about it? How were we going to think about it? There's a lot of times in mergers where companies tend to put themselves together and then just to talk about it as if it was inevitable. We're carbon copies of each other. We're already doing the same thing. This works great, seamless. But we actually decided we were not going to do that. We decided that we were going to embrace the differences between the two companies. We made a launch video that had it was sort of a mockumentary of a cowboy country singer and a drag queen trying to get together to write a song. And that was kind of the metaphor for being different and embracing our differences, these kind of beautiful collisions of things that make something that's better, so 1 + 1 = 5.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that strategically has been all about from day one.
Yeah, with any relationship, I always tell people, with how we put people in our communities, like we look for the similar core
Yeah,
values that we all
yeah,
share,
yeah,
right? It doesn't
yeah,
they don't have to be my twin. Like when I was hiring people,
right,
if I hired my twin, it would be a complete fucking nightmare.
yeah,
But if I hired someone that shared, like they had similar views, but they were different,
yeah,
like in
yeah.
like their skill set and that kind of stuff, like it was perfect. And it sounds like, and I like what you guys, I want to make sure we highlight this because it's very key. I think
Hmm.
all four of you have similar beliefs. I think I
Hmm.
could, that's kind of
Yeah.
apparent, but you set up rules for when decisions are coming and it's in the
Hmm.
lane of someone else. They have the ultimate
Hmm.
decision, but the rest of us will give you, have you thought about this, or this is my angle on it. It's still your discussion, but like I have to bring this to you so you can make a better decision. Like I like that,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And when after we've decided, I'm going to get behind you 100%. I am committed to doing what we have decided. There better not be any discussion after that point. You bring that into that conversation
Yeah.
and then you move on. But I love what you said. The fundamentals have to, it's like a marriage. You fundamentally, the very core of who you are as a person has to be exactly the same.
Yep.
But what's outside of that, how you think and operate, it should be different. It's better if it's who wants to marry themselves. You know
Yeah,
what?
because
So it's really about that's what makes for, I think, a great marriage and a great
yeah,
partnership.
because my uh, Kimberly and I, we have similar beliefs, obviously, because we've been
Hmm.
together
Yeah,
for 21
yeah,
years or almost 22. Um,
yeah,
but we are the complete opposite. Like I'm the
yeah,
adventurous
yeah.
one that will jump off a cliff or fly a plane or whatever. And she's like,
Right.
no, I just want to go
Yeah,
hang out at a pool
yeah.
and go to
But the
cool
core
places.
of who you are, the core of who you are is exactly the same. Like
Yeah.
when you see someone on the street and you think about how they should be treated,
Yeah.
you both feel the
Yes.
exact same way.
Yep.
That has
Exactly.
to be the same.
Yeah.
So and that is the way it is with with my wife and with my partners as well. It's just fundamentally we're all pointed in the exact same direction. Now we're going to take a different path to get there, but you have to be 100% aligned when it gets to the very
Yeah.
core of everything.
I want to end the show with you telling the story about the idea you had for Jeff Bezos, because I find that interesting. So
Yeah.
tell us. I don't want to set it up because I'll screw it up. So
Yeah.
you start.
Well, it was a great lesson for me. I was at Amazon and trying to navigate figuring out how to be a client, which is a what that's a whole other podcast. The shift from being an external creative director to being an internal one is 1,000 degrees in a different direction. Um, but I had a goal of getting a Super Bowl spot on for Amazon. They'd done one many years before, but hadn't in a long time. And I was having trouble getting people on board. And Amazon has the doc system, where you come in and you bring a doc in, and I was there at a time. I was really lucky in that Jeff was very available. Jeff Bezos was very available and involved in advertising, and so I went into a meeting with him, and I wrote a doc that said we are going to make a Super Bowl spot, and we're going to be top five. And I think some people thought I was crazy for doing that because it is not a when you put that in a document there, it's in 12 point times New Roman, it is a commitment to doing that
Do you use
thing.
Times Roman
Um,
as the creative?
it is that's what it is. It's sometimes the font gets a little smaller, but they all it is laid out in a business document. So I went to that meeting, and Jeff agreed, and then I went about the process of bringing in the team and figuring out the agency. And at one point, I was talking to director named Wayne McClammy, and I was interviewing him and wanted him to join. And he said, "Michael, why the fuck would you go make the top five spot? Go make the number one spot." Go make the number one spot on the Super Bowl. I thought, oh, geez, I mean, five is really ambitious. Number one is just a whole other bar. And
How
now
can
you're
you beat
just, it's
the
one.
polar bear or the Clydesdale? Come on.
So it honestly, it made me break into a sweat when he said that. But the lesson I got out of that is everything after that point became about making the number one spot. Every decision we made was, is that celebrity number one? Is this, are we, is a number one a 60-second spot, or is it a 90? We made it 90. Everything became about making the number one spot. Every decision we made going forward, the insanity, the audaciousness of that goal was what drove it. And mid spot, number one.
What was
And
the commercial?
it was Alexa loses her voice, and it had
I remember that.
Cardi B in it, and Sir Anthony Hopkins. It was really fun to make and stressful as hell. But I the really it changed the way that I operate in that sometimes we set the bar too low for ourselves. It's just, what do I want to do this quarter? I want to grow 10% or whatever. Put down what is the craziest, most audacious goal that you really have. Don't give yourself an out. And, that spot wouldn't have been number one if we said we're going to make top five. And
Mhm.
it is really about just pushing that to the point where your goals make you nervous. Because if they don't make you nervous, you're not shooting high enough. And guess what? You're never, ever going to achieve it.
Well, I'm going to quote a great philosopher that I live my life by. If you ain't
Mm.
first, you last. Ricky Bobby.
I love it. That
So,
is yes, Ricky Bobby. That is
yeah.
great. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it is a very incredibly competitive industry we're in. We compete every single day, and I just never want to be in the middle. I want us to be at the top, and those are the decisions I want to make, and that's what makes coming into work fun every single day.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thanks so much for coming on the show. And for everyone, if you enjoyed listening, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on some of these amazing episodes. And if you guys want to be around other cool agency owners like Michael and all the other guests that we've had, love to invite all of you to check out our community. Go to agencymastery.io. And until next time, have a swank day.